I'm Andy Mack. Let's turn our attention as the DA in Utah yesterday calling it an American tragedy, the fatal shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk exactly a week ago on the campus of Utah Valley University. We did see some of the charges being filed yesterday, including aggravated murder, which potentially carries being put to death, of course, the death sentence, the death penalty in this case, a man accused of it, as the attorney Jeff Gray calling the murder American tragedy in this press conference, talking about some of these charges. Let's be joined right now by Deseret News reporter Dennis Romboy. I appreciate your time here on Live Now from Fox. And the district attorney said he made this decision independently, saying there was no influence from others on what they're seeking. Can you speak to some of the history of the death penalty in Utah and what the DA is seeking in this?
Yeah, so obviously the death penalty has existed in Utah for a long time. For a lot of years, a defendant, a convicted killer could choose a firing squad. And then that was rescinded in 2004. So the only option was lethal injection. However, in 2015, the Utah legislature reinstated the firing squad as an option only if the drugs are not available for a lethal injection.
Wow. What is going on, everybody? It's your brother Nubreed coming through with another live stream. Make sure you double tap the screen on your way in. Now, this news that just broke comes to a bit of a shock. They're talking about giving Tyler Robison the death sentence, legal execution. They're already speculating on how they would go about it, whether it be lethal injection or firing squad. It still comes to a bit of a shock that they're actually considering this. I mean, the main reason it comes to a shock is because, has he even confessed yet? Has he even confessed to the crime? Now, we know that the father allegedly received $1 million reward for turning his son in. And we know that his father having a background connected with the military, and he's also connected with a lot of high U.S. Marshals, which is rather interesting, But for whatever reason, Tyler Robison is facing a death penalty, and I would love to know what Middle America thinks about this. What do y'all think about this? I mean, it may really happen off in Utah.
And that's where the law stands currently.
And how important was it for the DA there, Jeff Gray, to speak to that, saying it was an independent decision, that he read some of the facts, and that is why he's choosing to move in this direction for the sentence?
Yeah, I think, obviously this has been very politicized, and people on both sides calling for this or for that. And I think he looked at his evidence. There were aggravating circumstances. There are probably a dozen or so aggravating circumstances under which a county attorney could file aggravated murder charges that carries a capital punishment along with it. And this fit into that category in terms of I think they charged it under the provision that Charlie Kirk was killed by this suspect, but also he endangered the lives of other people as well.
So if they're considering, legally executing Tyler Robison, Tyler Robison, who was raised by a Republican family, Tyler Robison, who, when he voted nonpartisan. Since they are speculating on executing Tyler Robison, we're under the impression, and I'm speaking of the general public, we're under the impression that Tyler Robison is guilty. So shouldn't a witch hunt stop? Shouldn't anybody talking about they did this and they did that, shouldn't that be considered misinformation at this point? Because you got people making murder mysteries and making a boogeyman here and a boogeyman there. And my question is, and I think this is a adequate question, shouldn't that be considered misinformation at this point, where Tyler Robinson is about to get the death penalty? Therefore, Middle America can stop pointing the finger at other people and really start to hone in on their own issues going on in their communities.
Of course, we didn't know if there's an active shooter situation right after this happened, but so that was the way that the aggravating circumstances were charged in this case.
And it's so very interesting to look at almost this on a case-by-case basis in different states and different protocols when approaching the death penalty. Can you speak to the history of that in Utah? Obviously, it's a complicated history. How would you classify it?
It's complicated, and in Utah, there was an effort in 2022, I believe, by some Republican lawmakers to repeal the death penalty. That proposed bill failed to get out of a House committee. Since Utah was the first state to execute someone after the United States reinstated the death penalty in 1976.
I mean, I think Charlie Kirk would have wanted that. Charlie Kirk said he was all for public executions. And the irony of that is he went out in a public execution. But yeah, hey, they should do it. I mean, look, at the end of the day, this high profile white on white crime is unacceptable in y'all's community. And Charlie would have wanted it public. Charlie would have wanted a public execution. And, I found a lot of just very interesting caveats about this whole scenario, because you have Trump, when he spoke in regards of Tyler Robinson, he said, he was a bright young man. He just got led astray by, the internet. And he seemed like he was going to be pretty light on him. But Utah, the city of Utah, the state of Utah, they decided on their own now that we're going to line him up. Bring in the firing squad, fill him with hot ones, and get him up out of here. That's what they talking about doing, y'all, to the person who assassinated Charlie Kirk. They talking about lining them up, lethal injection, or firing squad.
Utah executed Gary Gilmore by firing squad in 1977, and the state has had 7 executions since then. I think 3 of them have been by firing squad. The remainder have been by lethal injection.
That is obviously what we're talking about here, just kind of the route in which they would do with the death penalty. And when you say firing squad, it obviously brings a graphic image to your mind. Is that a possibility in this case with the suspect, Tyler Robinson, if he is convicted?
Firing squad, the remainder have been by lethal injection.
That is obviously what we're talking about here, just kind of the route in which they would do with the death penalty. And when you say firing squad, it obviously brings a graphic image to your mind. Is that a possibility in this case with the suspect, Tyler Robinson, if he is convicted?
I'd say it's a possibility if, in fact, the drugs for lethal injection are not available within 30 days of the execution date. That's what the law says currently. So I would think that would be a possibility if those drugs are not available. The last execution here in Utah was last year, 2024. That man was executed by lethal injection. The last firing squad execution was in 2014, I believe.
Yeah, somebody in the chat said it, man. This is definitely showing that they're turning on each other. When it comes to white supremacy, we have to understand how primitive these individuals are. We got to understand that they will always have internal wars, and it will always be a situation that implodes. They will always cannibalize each other. They wanted blood for this situation, and it is alleged that some of these white nationalist groups went rogue and was going on their witch hunt for our people. But I believe the city of Utah understands how strictly this must be dealt with. It has to be dealt with very harshly and strictly because they can't have this in their community. Like, y'all got to understand how bad of a blow white supremacy took one of their own taking one of their own out like that. So they have to instill fear in anyone who wants to, jump out of pocket like that, because it's a bad look on them.
And can you speak to it at all? Because we see some of these death penalty cases in different parts of the country where the defense isn't necessarily trying to find a not guilty or kind of make them innocent in a way, but also to take the death penalty off the case. Do you believe that potentially could be the defense's move? Has there been any precedent in Utah before?
Yeah, I think prosecutors use the death penalty as a bargaining chip to say if your client pleads guilty to the charges straight up, then we'll take the death penalty off the table. That certainly could be a possibility here in this case. As you know, Mr. Robinson does not have an attorney currently, and so that issue has not been discussed publicly at this point, but I would believe that would be on the table.
Now, we know, and when I say we, I'm talking about those of the truth intelligence community. We understand that Charlie Kirk's death was a blood sacrifice ritual. And we know that it was an inside job. We seen all the Masonic symbolism, the fact that they found Tyler Robison on the 33rd hour, and the fact that they're memorializing Charlie Kirk in the Rotundra, which has high Masonic significance. We know that this is definitely an inside job. And what we believe is to, further push an agenda. Now, what this agenda is it's a word that I don't want to use right now, but it starts with an F. We'll just leave it at that. I don't want to use that word, but what the agenda is actually just tyranny and control, right? And, I know I'm interrupting Charlie Kirk's memorial service right now, and I see Dirty MAGAs pulling up. They're upset that I'm talking about this, but all I'm talking about is this: how Utah is deciding to deal with this white on white crime, because we have a white on white crime epidemic in the country, and it is sprawling out of control, and it has gotten absolutely just relentless in our country, right? So they have to deal with this very, very strict. They have to deal with it very strict. All right.
All right, very good. Dennis Romboy, I appreciate your time, your insight there.
Here in the U.S., a Utah sheriff is revealing the moments leading up to the surrender of the man accused.
All right, so we got Charlie Kirk's, killer, Tyler Robison facing the death penalty. And I mean, he has yet to confess. Where's his confession at? And this is breaking news too. So, hey, we on the case. We are there. It's starting to spread to other news outlets. They're actually considering giving Tyler Robison the death penalty. What does Dirty MAGA think? What do y'all feel about this? What does Dirty MAGA feel about Robinson getting the death penalty? I really want to know, because y'all have become somewhat of a case study for me, right? Is it too harsh? Let's see here. Yeah, because he was charged with aggravated murder. That's the difference right here. That's the difference maker.
Tyler James Robinson has been formally charged in connection with the fatal shooting of conservative influencer Charlie Kirk, and could potentially face the firing squad if convicted. Attorney General Pam Bondi previously said she expects prosecutors to seek the death penalty, which she described as very real in Utah, noting that the state is allowed to use firing squads to carry out executions. During Robinson's first court appearance, the prosecution said that it had filed notice of their intent to seek the death penalty in the case.
Just for the court's information, we did file just recently, within the last few minutes, a notice of intent to seek the death penalty that was filed by Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray.
So how does death by firing squad work in the U.S.? Here's everything you need to know. Most recently, a prisoner in South Carolina was put to death by firing on April 11th. Although much of the process used to kill Mikhail Mahdi remains a secret, according to a report by USA Today, which obtained South Carolina Department of Corrections execution protocols, it involved a 3-person firing squad, in which 3 bullets were aimed at his heart. Prisoners facing death by firing squad are restrained in a metal chair by the ankles, arms, and waist. In South Carolina, the chair is in the same room as the state's electric chair. A hood is placed over the prisoner's head, and a white square with a red bullseye is placed over the heart by a doctor. A curtain is then opened, revealing the witnesses, which might include family, media, and lawyers, who will watch the process through bulletproof glass. A final statement might be read by the prisoner's lawyer or an official from the prison before a shade is opened, revealing the shooters, who are lined up 15 feet away from the prisoner. 3 voluntary members of the prison staff make up the firing squad in South Carolina. Their names and training are kept secret.
Man, it's getting ugly up in the suburbs, bro. It's getting ugly. They talking about tying this man up. Getting a firing squad, blowing limbs off. It's getting real gutter out here, man. You see what white supremacy has created? Somebody said, what the hell are you talking about? Robison lived with his furry trans boyfriend. Are you naturally this obtuse, or do you have to practice? I don't understand how is that relevant to anything we're talking about? Are you trying to say that because he's allegedly a homosexual, that makes a difference in this situation? Is Tyler Robinson not another middle American white man? I mean, is this not white on white crime? Are they not about to get a firing squad to line him up? I mean, I don't understand. What does that mean? On top of that, is it not people on the right side who are considered conservatives, not on the alternative? Matter of fact, let me do you a favor. Let's respond to that with this, right? You know you done messed up, right? Watch me just prove my point real quick. You know you done messed up, right? Because somehow you think that makes a difference. Is this not a Republican?
One other quick question about your team. Kim Kardashian, an advisor to President Trump, an advisor to many people in the Senate on the issue of criminal justice reform. Is she an advisor to you on that issue, which is such an important issue in this state?
One thing, I talked to all my family about running for governor. And
is this not a Republican? Caitlyn Jenner said that. What are we talking about? What this got to do with anything? Is Big Bruce not, hold on, let me get this right. Big Bruce over here, Olympic gold medalist, he is a Republican, a staunch Republican, who says that he speaks to people in the White House all the time. Hold on, man, let me take it a step further. Let's take it a step further, right? Let's go here. Because y'all got selective. Hold on, let's go here. Oh, did they remove Trump? What about Trump Pride? Y'all not remember Trump Pride? Oh, they about to get pissed. Hold on, y'all. They gonna get upset. Hold on. Let me see if I can find this. Oh, they're triggered. They're triggered now. I was waiting for that. Let's see. Caitlyn Jenner. See if I can find a video.
From the governor for the Golden State in 1966.
I mean, I think y'all get the point. When Trump was running the first time, did they not have Trump Pride and all of that? Anyway, we don't even go there. Let's talk about this death sentence, this death penalty. Y'all get the point. That individual came in here, brung up something about Tyler Robinson being with a transgender, as if that made a difference. If you ask me, a lot of people on that side, not to make generalizations, but a lot of people on that side follow as the Greeks and the Romans do. Some of y'all most strong right conservatives are homosexuals. See, you got the wrong platform. We don't care about the left or the right. We don't care for the left or the right. But let's talk about Tyler Robinson. Let's talk about Tyler Robinson about to get lined up and get the death penalty. You know, this guy right here.
They're all given high-powered rifles with live rounds. According to USA Today, the 3 shooters are hidden behind a wall with holes in it for the weapons to peek through. Without a countdown or warning for witnesses, the squad then opens fire. A short time later, a doctor comes out to pronounce the prisoner dead. Information about what would happen if the prisoner survives the shots has not been released to the public. How humane death by firing squad remains up for debate, but there is some growing consensus that it might be better than lethal injection, which can be botched and takes a longer amount of time. The bullets are designed to shatter when they hit something like a rib cage, which is supposed to quickly demolish the heart. If done correctly, that means a rapid loss of consciousness and a quick or even near instantaneous.
Make sure y'all double tap the screen on the way in. We're talking about Tyler Robinson, who is facing the death penalty.
And so then on the flip side here, what type of defense do you think his team should mount, especially considering you're saying, could this evidence be any stronger?
The prosecutor for the state of Utah has already gone on the record saying they're going to seek the death penalty. And Brittany, whenever you have a case like this, where the allegation is murder and the evidence is strong and the state is seeking the death penalty.
So the state is seeking the death penalty. And let me say this, man. I think they're going to get it. I think they're going to get exactly what they're looking for. There's going to be, once they take Tyler Kirk out, that's going to give Middle America some stability, because then it's a situation where you can't say they dealt with it with hypocrisy. So yeah, they're gonna end up doing it. I don't think there's an argument that the lawyers can really give out of this one. And then the fact that the shooter's not cooperating, yeah.
Essentially becomes a referendum on capital punishment. Was this an evil act? And does he deserve to be killed? Or was he suffering from some sort of mental illness? Or were there other factors that suggest that he doesn't deserve the death penalty in this case? Obviously, this is a politically charged issue, politically charged case. And I think the danger here is that politics might overshadow what the prosecution might be trying to do or what the defense might be trying to do. But typically what you would see is this case, in terms of what happens in court legally, that it quickly becomes about whether or not the death penalty is warranted.
Let's talk about the death penalty here, because prosecutors said that they are pursuing the death penalty. Do you think that the death penalty makes it harder for the prosecution? What do you think this adds by being on the table?
Death penalty cases do tend to...
Now, when it comes to Charlie Kirk, let me make this very clear for those just joining. I am not a fan of Charlie Kirk whatsoever. You know, if you follow my platform for any amount of time, you will understand that, you know, what my thoughts are regarding Kirk. Me, I'm amused by seeing all of it. Just to be clear with you, that's my stance. I'm amused by the whole thing. I find it interesting what's going on in Middle America. It seems like they're having some type of civil war. You know, all of this white on white crime is what I'm paying attention to. High profile crime. The fact that not too long ago, the National Guards were sent to major cities where highly concentrated black areas are. And, you know, nothing was really done. It was just all done for a show. Meanwhile, Charlie Kirk just got hit in his neck by another white guy. And I'm just looking at the whole scenario and I'm like, wow, it's quite interesting what's going on. You know, I'm watching Jimmy Kimmel get fired. You know, I'm watching them cancel each other. And it's just honestly, I mean, some of y'all may be raging out about this, but what I really want you to see that there's a real problem in middle of America. You know, some people may consider me evil for thinking this way, and that's okay. You know, I seen somebody in the chat say, well, that's an evil way of thinking of it. No, it could be a bit cynical, but under the surface of things, really, I'm just pointing to a larger problem. I'm basically honing in on what the issue is in America, and that's white on white crime. And we got to talk a little bit more about this white on white crime. We definitely got to do that.
Take longer. They take more effort. And the defense afforded to even an indigent defendant in most states is more robust. And so anytime the prosecution decides to seek death penalty in a case, they are signing up, generally speaking, for a longer, harder fight. One of the most important aspects of any death penalty case is the defense will seek to, the defense and the prosecution, put it this way, the prosecution wants to death-proof the jury. In other words, they want to make sure that every juror impaneled in the case is willing to impose the death penalty if the facts support the law and the law requires it.
So I haven't really heard.
On the other hand, will not be allowed to exclude people who are pro-death penalty. And so the law requires a jury of individuals who are all willing to impose the death penalty, and then the defense will attempt to select a jury and present a case such that even those individuals who are in favor of the death penalty generally won't apply it in this case specifically. So that is what most of the additional work and complexity surrounding a death penalty case looks like.
And so based on this evidence, based on the fact that they are seeking the death penalty, what do you think the hardest moment will be for the prosecutors? What do you think is the biggest hill that they have to climb here?
Probably getting it to trial.
I mean, listen, they're going to have a tough time trying to prove that Tyler Robinson had mental problems. I mean, we have a student that had a full scholarship to Utah. We're talking about a student who pretty much had great grades, passing with flying colors, 4.0 grade average. Look, what are you going to do with that? You have to you have to get the firing squad. And you know what? They should do it publicly. Yeah, they should do it publicly because Charlie Kirk said he believes in public executions. I think that's what he would have wanted. You know, just like they publicly got rid of Jimmy. As soon as, when they got Jimmy off of TV, they should just go ahead and make it public. Why not? What y'all think? All you Charlie Kirk fans out there, what y'all think about that? Like they just, middle America should just go ahead and get on some medieval shit at this point. Maybe even just put them in a coliseum or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. What y'all think? Now, I want you to think of it like this. Y'all don't want to see this happen in y'all community again, right?
What will happen oftentimes in death penalty cases is the defense will want to uncover every stone in Mr. Robinson's past and every stone in his potential defense to make sure that once the case is presented to the jury, the jurors have enough information to feel like they understand Mr. Robinson and his motives and his actions. And so just that preparation process is probably going to be the hardest part of the prosecution.
Now, why does somebody say you are hateful, Shaman? Why am I hateful? This guy took out Charlie Kirk. I thought y'all loved Charlie Kirk. Now I'm hateful because I'm talking about dealing with Tyler Robinson in the way that Utah sees fit. What's up with that? How could I be hateful? Don't y'all want justice for Kirk? Look, y'all got to make y'all mind up. Y'all really have to make y'all minds up. Let me see. I really want to know what MAGA thinks of this. This is interesting. I am interested here. I mean, I don't see them getting them off of that.
The state of Utah intends for Tyler Robinson to be executed, that he should pay for the death of Charlie Kirk with his life.
I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney.
Wow.
Based solely on the event to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the.
What's this on this? What's this on this shirt right here? Is this Mason? What is this? Masonic focus? Is this Masonic here? What is this? Anyway, nonetheless, I wonder why, this guy has it out for Tyler Robinson like that. Well, I mean, what is it? Let me see. Let's read this scripture here. Thou shalt not kill. Romans 12:19. Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath. For it is written, it is mine anger to avenge. I will repay, says the Lord. Yeah, but these people don't believe that. These people don't believe that. Now, he said he's taking it on his own merit to do what he do. Now, me, I'm completely biased to the whole situation. I don't care. This is white people's business. They're going to do what they want to do in this situation. Like I said, I'm just trying to see what MAGA thinks about this. What does Middle America think about this?
Available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime.
Let me translate that last part. The lead prosecutor in this case is saying he did not factor in, for example, what Donald Trump believes Robinson's fate should be.
I hope he was going to be found guilty, I would imagine, and I hope he gets the death penalty.
Okay, Trump said he hope he gets the death penalty. So now we see why it's happening. Trump said he hope he gets the death penalty, y'all. Wow.
I should say, not one allegation against Robinson has been tested in court, but prosecutors believe they can unequivocally place Robinson.
Let me see. Somebody says you're not interested in people's thoughts. It appears you so divide. No, Jupiter, I'm truly interested. I'm watching my chat. A lot of MAGA, y'all are tuning in, but y'all not really saying much about this. And I think I know why. I think I know why. Y'all saying things here and there, but y'all not really sharing what y'all's thoughts really are.
At the scene of Charlie Kirk's death, that they can place the rifle used to put a bullet in his neck in Robinson's hands, and that a number of aggravating factors, from attempting to hide evidence to killing someone in the presence of children, all lead to one outcome: the death penalty. I'll take you through it.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. Josiah says, this is a cultural conflict where there's a class of war going on right now. Exactly, Josiah. This is a cultural conflict for white America. They can't comment on this too much. They really don't know what to say to me right now because it points to a bigger problem in America, and that's white on white crime. That's high profile white on white crime. And the reason they're not quick to jump out there and say, yeah, send the firing squad on Tyler. Oh yeah, take him out. Why? They're not saying that because they have to stay on code. See, they were looking for someone else to shift the blame to, y'all. It's not in them to form a lynch mob. It's not in them to form a lynch mob on their own people. They can't grasp that concept. So when I tell you what I do here is a real social experiment. We on social media, so we can do our social experiments. They can't handle it. See, it was not another race of people in Utah that took him out. Oh, I'm making perfect sense. Middle America is afraid to share their thoughts about what they want to happen. This is the question I have for Middle America. Do you believe that Tyler Kirk should have the death sentence administered? It's a yes or no question, Dirty Macca. Should he get the death penalty? Oh man, it's like split halfway. Interesting. See, this is why we needed to have this conversation. Very interesting. Very interesting. It's like half and half. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a poll. I'm gonna definitely have to do a poll on this. You know, imagine in 2025, right now, I'm doing a poll on high profile white on white crime. And I get to get people from Middle America to vote whether or not one of their own should kill one of their own. Interesting. Or execute one of their own. That's interesting. Let me see. Let me go about this. Some people say prison is worse. Let's see. Okay. All right, let's continue here.
In all, Tyler Robinson is facing 7 charges. The first, and the one with the harshest penalty, is the charge of aggravated murder. So let's start with the killing itself.
At the moment of the shot, a UVU police officer was watching the crowd from an elevated vantage point. As soon as he heard the shot, he began to scan the area for threats.
According to court documents, it was the sound of the gun firing that immediately made police think 2 things. 1, that's the sound of a rifle. So 2, this might be the work of a sniper. Police zeroed in on this location, far enough from Charlie Kirk's innermost security perimeter, but still close enough to have a clear shot. They even checked the gravel on the roof, and they say the patterns in it likely left by a person's elbows, knees, and feet. They seem consistent with someone lying in a prone shooting position. That exact moment, firing the bullet, hitting Charlie Kirk directly in the neck. That's the second charge against Robinson. And this video surveillance footage, examined and believed to be of Robinson based on his clothing, his...
Now, I want y'all to look at this part real quick. Let's just engage in the murder mystery for a second. I think it's pretty much open and shut, but let's go.
Position. That exact moment, firing the bullet, hitting Charlie Kirk directly in the neck. That's the second charge against Robinson. And this video surveillance footage, examined and believed to be of Robinson based on his clothing, his build, his gait, as he climbs down from the roof, it places him, Utah's county attorney says, directly at the scene, lining up exactly with the police timeline of events. And when they found the suspected murder weapon, the rifle, in a wooded area which happens to be in the same direction from campus as the person in that video footage ran, they checked the gun for DNA. The results that come back, say prosecutors, a match.
So let me ask y'all something. Look at this. This is what he wrote on the cartridge. That's crazy. Let me ask y'all this. I'm trying to get to understand MAGA. I'm really trying to understand what y'all think. Seriously. Okay, do y'all believe Tyler Robinson is guilty? Let's ask that question. Do y'all believe that Tyler Robinson is guilty of this crime? Like I said, this particular stream right here is pretty much just a social experiment for me personally. Had a little free time, wanted to tap in with y'all. Some say, man, y'all are like right down the middle. And see, this is what I'm talking about. Y'all need to get on code. Y'all definitely need to get on code right now. See, confusion is of the devil. And it seems like the system got y'all just as confused as everybody else. Some people saying it's a patsy. Some people saying no. Some people saying he did it. I think it's safe to say that MAGA don't know what the hell going on. I think it's safe to say that y'all don't know what the hell's going on. As a whole, y'all don't know. Y'all just gonna follow Trump and mainstream media no matter what. But look where that led you, confusion.
Tyler Robinson. His DNA on the trigger, the bullet casings, even the towel the gun was found wrapped in. Investigators also end up getting a hold of text messages allegedly sent between Robinson and his roommate after the shooting takes place, and it's all over the news. The roommate, who investigators believe Robinson is also in a relationship with, asks, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" Robinson replies, "I am. I'm sorry." A few moments later, the roommate asks, "Why? Why did I do it?" "Yeah." To which Robinson answers, "I had enough of his hatred," referring to Charlie Kirk. "Some hate can't be negotiated out." And then he...
Damn. If this is true, man, if this is true, listen, regardless of how Black America reacted to the death of Charlie Kirk, and I mean the churches, the content creators, and so forth, listen, we not the ones who had hatred for Charlie Kirk. No, his own people, look, they said that this type of hatred can't be negotiated. Damn.
mentions the rifle he allegedly left behind, but that he meant to retrieve. "If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence." All of this forms a major part of the case, charging Robinson with murder. But in Utah state law, a charge of aggravated murder, which
that's what they got him with, aggravated murder. And they're gonna have the lawyers gonna have a hard time getting him out of that. So let me ask y'all this: MAGA, who agreed that he should get the death sentence, should it be lethal injection or firing squad? What y'all thinking? Lethal injection or firing squad?
is what Tyler Robinson is actually charged with. It's like murder, but worse. For example, if you kill someone while you're in jail, or if you kill someone while committing some other serious crime, or if you kill a politician, a police officer, a firefighter, a judge, or if you kill someone with a bomb. But in Robinson's case, the aggravated charge is because of where and when he's alleged to have killed Charlie Kirk.
The allegation is it was a big crowd. Someone else could have gotten hurt. The doubt is that other people could have been fatally wounded.
Let's go back to that map of the area. The suspected shooter's rooftop, nearly 100.
Well, they saying basically because other people could have got hurt, that it should be considered aggravated assault, which also makes me believe, like I said, I think it's an inside job, a Masonic ritual, to push whatever movement they got going forward. These people have always done this. One shot, he didn't let off 2 shots, 3 shots. It was 1 shot. It was clean. It was to the neck, approximately 200 feet away, which is not that far, but far enough where you would need to be skilled. You would need to be skilled. And that's why I believe it was a professional hit. That's my thoughts. Always thought that about it. But it's interesting to see what other people think. It's interesting to see what MAGA thinks of these type of things, right? Because, more often than not, I come over here and I chop it up with y'all. And a lot of times y'all hate what I'm talking about. Y'all disagree, but y'all come through and tune in. So nonetheless, Hey, share your thoughts in the chat.
50 meters away, so no guarantee of hitting the intended target. The bullet fired directly towards a large crowd of people, some of whom were standing very close to Charlie Kirk himself.
Hold on, let me see. Somebody said, no, sir. You would not need to be skilled at 150 M with a nice scope. You don't even have to count for. When did you, hold on, when did you, man, you got to, English language is kicking your ass. Have to count for a bullet fall at the rate of speed from the rifle. Hey, it still was a good shot.
Including the person who was asking Kirk a question just meters away, and at the exact moment Kirk was shot dead. In the view of Utah's county attorney, it wasn't just Kirk in danger that day. Legally, that kind of recklessness matters. And when you think about all those people who'd come out to hear him speak, prosecutors say there are two other considerations that make the crimes we've discussed so far much worse. The first, what in Utah state law is called a victim targeting enhancement. The second is the simple fact of the crime being committed in the presence of children.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. In front of his family. I mean, did the people who killed Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, did they get the death penalty? I know that the people who was charged with killing Malcolm X was facing the death penalty, but I don't think they actually got it.
That second one is easy to understand. But the first is about how Charlie Kirk was targeted expressly because of who he was to the general public. You see, a crime is made worse in Utah if it's committed against someone on the basis of a whole range of very personal things. Their age, ancestry.
This is what they put in consideration when it comes to who can get the death penalty. This is weird. Age, ancestry, disability, ethnicity. Yo, this is all very much weird. Why should this matter? If it's aggravated murder, it is what it is. Why does race and all of that matters in these situations? But whatever.
Disability, ethnicity, the list goes on. But it includes political expression, a very particular type of protected attribute.
If and when
yeah, that political violence, man, that's the one.
Robinson is convicted, the case will go to a penalty phase. And at the penalty phase, the jurors have to weigh those aggravating factors against the mitigating factors in deciding whether to return a death sentence for Robinson.
Political violence is different than any other type of violence. We will never be able to solve all the other problems, including the violence problems that people are worried about, if we can't have a clash of ideas safely and securely. That's why this matters so much.
Yeah, this is wild, man.
The third and fourth counts against Tyler Robinson have to do with how he's alleged to have covered his tracks. That bolt-action rifle police found in the woods, the simple act of hiding it is itself illegal. Same goes for Robinson's clothes, which he's alleged to have tried to get rid of. Those things stack on top of the charges related to the shooting itself. And in those text messages between Robinson and his roommate, court documents show many references to the hidden rifle throughout. I had planned to grab my rifle from the drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. If I'm able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence.
So, I mean, all of this looks too, it almost looks just too outright. Like, this dude is in these text messages, it's just sketchy, it's janky. So he just in these text messages just describing everything he did. Like, it just feels so staged to me, bro. That's why I think it's an inside job. Now, I know MAGA, y'all gonna believe whatever the hell the news tell y'all. I don't believe this. I think it's BS, right? It just seems all too staged. You know, but you know, at the end of the day, this is what I say, right? Regardless of what actually happened, the outcome is all the same. Whatever they want the public to think happened, that's what happened. Why? Because the outcome is the same. The outcome is the same. Yeah, I mean, regardless, you know, maybe Charlie Kirk found out in the afterlife that his ideologies may not have been 100% correct. I don't know. What y'all think, MAGA? Because you got to understand, the moment where he took that bullet to the neck, he was talking about gang violence. He was asked about mass shootings, and he was talking about gang violence. He didn't get taken out by gang violence. He didn't get taken out by gang violence. And I can guarantee he would have never seen that coming. Kirk would have never seen that coming. That would have been a 4.0 white student raised by a Republican family up the burner on him and take him out. Ain't no way he would have seen that coming.
I can get close to it, but there's a squad car parked right by it. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. I don't even know if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel.
It's not uncommon for prosecutors to be alleging every single fact and making every charge they think might possibly stick in a capital case. I mean, obviously, their ultimate goal is to demonstrate that this defendant is particularly death worthy. That's the goal, to convince this jury that he is someone who deserves a death sentence. And by
Yeah, I mean, for real though, he does deserve it. He had everything that he needed to be an active, productive member in society. Instead of being an active, productive member of society, he decided to be an active shooter and go wipe out another one of his own people. Yeah, you know, listen, I'm like this. Y'all need to deal with y'all's issues. Y'all need to deal with y'all issues. He had 4.0, good family, good upbringing.
stacking all
It's going to be difficult to beat this one.
all of these charges, they are making the case that he's the kind of person that deserves to be sentenced to death.
Counts 5 and 6 against Tyler Robinson fall under the same sort of umbrella as counts 3 and 4, which is mainly about trying to get away with the crime. When police tracked down Robinson's roommate, those text messages sent back and forth, they make it sound like Robinson knew the end of the road was near. In one set of messages, Robinson writes, "Delete this exchange."
So he was trying to hide it. I mean, it's open and shut. It's open and shut, man.
By this point, he seems to have spoken with his dad and writes, "My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa..."
Somebody say, why are you trying to separate? I like how you trying to separate yourself. You live here also, bruh. Live where? I don't live in Utah. I don't live in middle America. Last time I checked, I live in a nice middle-class black neighborhood, black and Hispanic neighborhood. Middle-class black and Hispanic neighborhood is where I live. I don't live in Utah. We from two different worlds. I'm a citizen. Yeah, hey, listen, I'm not a citizen of Utah. See, look, this is what I'm trying to get y'all to see. Don't try to listen. We don't have nothing to do with this. This is just my commentary. This is mainstream news. We ain't got nothing to do with what y'all got going on. I'm over here doing this social experiment, trying to figure out what y'all think should be done with Tyler Robinson.
Wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me right now, not answering.
Yeah, these messages seem just too, they seem sketchy, just outright. I don't know, man. Look, if you believe everything you hear on the news, I don't care if you MAGA, left, right. I don't care what you are. Look, you're not on point. If you ain't got a little bit of conspiracy theory in you, you're not on point.
Then, what seems like the final chapter. I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. You are all I worry about, love. The roommate writes back, I'm much more worried about you. To which we see one more reply from Robinson in the court documents. Don't talk to the media, please.
Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. So in this case, police don't appear, at least for now, to consider the roommate a co-conspirator, simply a witness who they allege Robinson has tried to steer away from telling the truth. And the final charge, the seventh, repeats what the prosecution believes.
I'm a little bit relieved to see that, MAGA is somewhat in here like, hey, this doesn't seem right. I'm kind of relieved to see that. And I'm glad that y'all were half and half on this because that means y'all actually thinking, you're not just following the mainstream narrative. Because y'all's Lord and Savior Donald Trump said dude should get the death penalty, and half of y'all don't even believe he really did it. That's interesting to me. That's interesting. Half of y'all don't really believe he did it. Trump's talking about he need to get the death penalty. We got some issues in America.
Is an aggravating factor for the first two charges, namely that what Robinson did was commit a violent offense in the presence of a child, a fully separate charge.
As prosecutors, we bear the burden to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. But make no mistake, we welcome this burden.
The prosecution is probably feeling pretty confident that they're going to get a guilty verdict. What they're trying to do is try to put him to death. And that's a little bit more difficult. You have to get 12 out of 12 jurors who are willing to sentence someone who has no criminal history, who's a young man who turned himself in. It's not easy. I'm not saying they can't get there, but that's the prosecution's focus in this case. I think if they don't get the death penalty, they would consider that a defeat here.
So that's the case, as laid out by the prosecution, which brings us back to the original question. Why seek the death penalty?
The prosecution is going for the death penalty because this was a pretty brazen assassination. To shoot a political figure, a commentator, while he's talking at a university in front of thousands of people, it's a pretty heinous act of violence. So this is about sending a message.
Yeah, if we're going based on those text messages, man, that's open and shut, bro. There's no way. There's no way that he's not going to get the death penalty. There's no way. You got a 4.0 grade average, full scholarship, come from a good family. You can't scream mental health in this issue. No, you just outright, you outright had real hate. You got people claiming that black folks got hate for Charlie Kirk. No, we don't have no hate for Charlie. We would have never done no shit like that. We would have never done that. The most Charlie Kirk would have got from one of our people is maybe cussed out at an airport, trolled online. We would have never done nothing like that, bro. Because guess what? We don't even care enough about Charlie Kirk to do nothing like that. We wouldn't have done that. Look, this dude said, no, I'm finna line him up in front of everybody, his family, kids, everything. That's hate. That's hate right there. Y'all can say what y'all want. We just making videos about Charlie Kirk, capitalizing off of him. We ain't the ones popped them in the neck. Say what you want, but our people don't have that type of hate just because people got words. You can say what the hell you want to say on the internet. It's the internet. We didn't take action against nobody and we don't plan on. Why am I wearing glasses? I got these new lights and they're kind of glaring right now and I wanted to put my glasses on. I'm going to adjust them later on. I should have adjusted them at the beginning, but yeah, somebody said facts. Online beef like Van Jones had him with facts. Somebody said the same way gangs let kids commit crimes. Well, look, some of y'all don't learn, bro. Y'all keep on deflecting the gangs. That's what Charlie Kirk did at the end. Reflecting to gangs. We're not talking about gangs. We're talking about what happened in Utah. But nonetheless, I just wanted to come through with this particular broadcast. Hopefully, this stimulated some thought, because that's my goal in these streams, is just simply to stimulate thought. I got more material coming. Y'all make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.